Hello there, welcome back to 9 Years in China and Beyond, where I just tell you a little bit about the things that I know about China and I've seen and done because I live there and what's going on today. Um, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, okay? I always need your help. But otherwise, let's kind of get in on the topic. The ever-changing China. Oh my gosh. The government there seems to change things like underwear. It's always constant, and it never seems like it's for the good. Today we're going to talk a little bit about babies and children, believe it or not. When I first went over there in 2010, Hu Jintao was still the president, and the one-child policy was still the law of the land for the most part. And, and that's just what we knew about China anyhow, was this one-child thing. We all thought, well, there's so many people, why do we need to get a billion more, in our head, we were trying to justify China having a one-child policy. But, that was no big deal. But I get over there and, of course, me and the students were really close, and I'd hear them say stuff about brother or sister. Now, sometimes they call, like, an aunt's daughter a sister, but what they were actually telling me is they had brothers and sisters. So I started asking them safe questions about this, and they said, yeah, they had brothers and sisters that would hide out in the fields if the government people came by to check on them. Imagine that. This is 2010, and they got a little brother or a little sister or whatever that goes out and hides. So they're unregistered births also. If that happens, they can probably never go to school, from what I'd understood at that time. I think it's changed maybe a little bit now. Or these brothers and sisters would all of a sudden be in the household of a relative that did not have children. So I found that really interesting. I found it actually more than interesting. I thought it was just, how can it be? And as I was in Fuyang and I started going around to the parks and everything, I said, man, there's a lot of children. There's a lot of twins. I saw lots of twins, way more than I ever saw in America. And I said, well, maybe it's just because China has so many people. Maybe there's just more twins, mathematically. I didn't know the answer, but I thought that was really strange. And one day, I got to talking to one of my teacher associates about that, and she goes, oh yeah, we all take these pills, fertility pills, to try to have another child that way, because China cannot do anything. If you're going to have a twin or a triplet, there's nothing those government people can do. They're either so that was win-win back then. So I said, well, okay, that makes sense. Everybody's trying to go for twins if they can. If not, they still get a baby out of the deal. And that's the way it was, for a little while. And I would talk to my house was always full of students, so we would talk about love and marriage and what do you want to do, a lot of them just want, my students at that time were all intending on being teachers and going back home and marrying the boy down the street or whatever. But we would talk about these things, and they would talk about finding a husband, and the boys would tell me how hard it is to find a wife. And that's because the one-child policy created a monster. In the Chinese society, especially the rural areas, they definitely want a boy to take the family over someday, and they want him to make good money to pay for things and, whatnot. So at that time, there's about 100, I think it was 127 boys for every 100 girls. And then there are people like me over there, they would like to find a nice Chinese, girlfriend or a wife. So there was an imbalance created already because of this one-child thing. And so anyhow, time went on, and all of a sudden, it may have been right around when Xi Jinping got elected, but all of a sudden they said, well, all right, you can have another baby now. And they had certain provinces that, like the farming provinces, like where I was in Anhui province, all of a sudden now it's okay if you can get a second child. All right, so that maybe took a little less pressure off the families because they weren't just pushing for a boy. Remember, it was so bad over there, they might give a girl away and try to have a boy. Imagine that. And still to this day over there, if they do an ultrasound, they will probably not tell you what the sex of the baby is because of those reasons. Isn't that crazy? If they find out you're pregnant with a girl, they may try to go have an abortion. Just unbelievable what goes on. So anyhow, now, they say, all right, like in today's time now, it's kind of unlimited. They went from saying, okay, you can have 2 babies now. Then they said, oh, well, if you really want, we'll let you have 3. If you can afford 3 babies. And child care in China is astronomical, just like it is here in America. It costs money to have kids. It costs money to get married and have a family, buy a house, car, and then boom, you got the kids. It's even more. It's no different over there than it is here. But now, there's kind of a open door to how many babies you can have. China's getting old. Understand? Even when any of those extra babies that were born 10 years ago over there, remember, it's going to take 25 years, over 20 years before they're productive to society in any form, before they can get out of school and go get a job. And we don't need to discuss Chinese unemployment right now because it's ridiculous for the young people. They report like 20%, and it's actually about 40% of the people 22 or under that cannot find a job. So again, that makes it tougher, to try to go raise that family. China's always kind of created their own monster, and now they're kind of paying the price because now they say, oh, okay, guys, we want you to go get married as soon as you can. We want you to start a family. We got to get babies out there. Then someday it'll all get better. Well, guess what? Because of all the stuff that happened before, all the young people are more career-minded. And they don't really, in America, we seem like we balance having babies and career and always have. Now it's something new, especially for the girls. The girls before had expectations different from the guys. So now, guess what? They don't really want to get married right away. If they're 22 or 23, they'll have a boyfriend, if possible. And traditionally, if they're 26 or 27 in China, they call them shengnu, leftover women, because guys don't want to marry women that old. Well, for one, they think, well, they're probably not a virgin anymore, and that's hysterical on its own. But these guys don't want to go after these career women because they might make more money than the man. See, there's this internal battle going on between the sexes that you don't even think about. So we got these girls now, they want to have their career first, then think about a family. I got some of my old students, one of them just turned 30 here the other day, and she said now they're preparing to have a child. Now, I don't understand that part, you're preparing to have a child, but anyhow, what I'm saying, she's 30 years old. But she's been married for a little while. But that's where it's at. And it's probably not going to get better. You know, now that the ladies, the girls know that they can go out and get a job just like the guys can. They can have a successful career. Money's a big deal everywhere, right? So that's what we're faced with in today's China. And China's doing everything they can to try to, outside of forced pregnancy, they're trying to get everything they can to get back on track. Whether it'll work, I don't know, because now also, step away from pregnancy for a minute, they got this lie flat movement where all the young people just have given up on getting a job, and they just do nothing all day. Live off their parents or get a little part-time job, make a little money, then they quit. So there's lots of things in this ever-changing China, guys. But I thought we'd talk about that just for a minute and think about that, all right? How would it be in America or your country about having babies? So, yeah, you have a great day, and we'll talk to you the next time, okay? Bye-bye. Don't forget to subscribe.